Hey, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to create, or probably more accurately, process some kind of haunting vocal lines for a forest track. So I have this section here. I'm just going to mute this track for one moment. And let's play this back. And you can hear at the end of that section there's a bit of a reverb swell coming up, which will sound similar to what we're processing, but my point is to ignore that. That's not what we're talking about. Instead, what I want is like a haunting kind of a spooky vocal kind of scream, if that makes sense, right at this section here. So you can see I've already got a sample there, but it's not quite what I want. Let's listen to this back just in isolation. So that's kind of what I want. That's kind of the vibe that I'm going for. But I don't want a female scream in this section of the track. I want a darker male voice in this section. But yet, as I said, I like the tone or the vibe of that one, if that makes sense. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because I've spent quite a lot of time going through my samples and I can't find the one that works. So even better, let's make our own. So the first thing we need to do, I'm just going to add a tuner on here. Let's go with the standard Steinberg one. That will do. Let's listen to what key this is in. I'm sure some of you already know. So G flat, or essentially F sharp. The track is in D sharp, so let's go into here, and we're just going to pitch that down by 3. So now we're in D sharp. Now it probably sounds horrible after that, but that won't matter in a moment. Next thing we're going to do, open up our sends here, and we're going to send this to basically the kind of shimmer reverb that I have most of the haunting stuff going to. That sounds like this now. That reverb that it's going to is Valhalla Shimmer. But I don't want the original dry signal in there. So what I'm going to do is, let's turn this all the way down and put this pre-fader. And obviously you can hear that rings out for quite a long time, but that's the point. It's kind of like an atmospheric bed to the track. But I'm still missing that darker element to it. So let's go to my new favorite toy. It's quite old, but I've just recently discovered how much of an impact it can make on pads. And that is Little AlterBoy. So now let's turn the pitch down. And the Formant, so let's turn it into the male, like I said. It's sounding quite good. I think you can already hear that it's going in the right direction. Let's now add another one though. Turn the Formant down. And there we have it. It's obviously a bit static, so what we can do is let's extend this region out. I'm going to put this at the start here. Maybe start it about there. Now you will have noticed earlier when I made it pre-fader that the volume of this is defined by the send level. And just to show that again, we have the output of the channel down to 0, and then we have the send set to pre-fader so that there's no dry signal coming through. It is all the reverb. So obviously that means that the send level determines the output or the volume of this sound. So we have here, just to make sure it is send 5 level, and I want to draw in a bit of automation, so essentially volume automation in this case. So I want not to start right on the bar, but to basically to swell up just after the bar and then kind of tease before, kind of like this. And then we'll drop that out over time. Let's go about there perhaps. Let's listen in isolation. And now with the kick and bass and everything else. So I think that's working quite well. Once you've done the volume automation and you've got it perfect, don't spend time increasing this if you want to adjust the level of that. Instead, go into here and then adjust the level. This is currently plus 16, but if we wanted to reduce the level of this track and the level of the send, if that makes sense, then you can just change it at source. Or we can increase it back to where we were. You could also put a utility in the insert as long as it's pre-fader, which obviously it's going to be, then you can adjust the volume that way as well. The point is, don't spend time modifying this curve just to change the volume. It is a bit too static, so let's play this back and let's see what modulating these parameters do. Quite good, but that's the one that really adds it. So let's bring that up. Let's record in. That was just to get the automation lane activated. I want it to increase in pitch as this sound goes along, basically to peak around here with the volume peaks, and then once again that can tail out. Let's go long like that. Let's see how this sounds. Maybe a swell in also. Kind of a similar shape, but that was really kind of unintentional. That was a coincidence. And just to remind ourselves what we started with, this is the original sound. Vastly different. And now we have this. It's got a lot more movement in it, and it's got the character that I was going for initially. Let's loop this entire section now with the kick and bass. There we go, I think we have it. So obviously you can spend time tweaking these curves, but to show how you can completely transform a vocal or any sound for that matter, I think you get the point. So thanks for watching, I hope that helped, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.